How about them Cowboys? How about them Cowboys? But I'm glad the Niners won. The Cowboys took a massive L. I don't like the Cowboys as much as Stephen A doesn't like the Cowboys. Whatever the Cowboys lose, it's great. Okay, like who calls the QB draw? Who calls the QB draw with 15 seconds left? Okay, great decision making by Mike McCarthy. Kellen Moore, great offensive play call right over there. But how about them Cowboys? How are you doing, Ben?
I'm doing excellent, man. What a game that was this weekend. I think emotionally wise, I've never experienced a game quite like that. The Super Bowl was certainly the letdown, obviously 2 years ago, but the ups and downs and the roller coaster of that Cowboys game was insane. And hey, shout out to Mike McCarthy, Kellen Moore, Dan Quinn. Really, really coming through for the 49ers. 14 penalties on the Cowboys, man.
Ooh.
Like,
Randy Gregory. Shout out to Randy Gregory also. That dude every freaking play. Offsides, neutral zone infraction. Shout out to Randy Gregory and Cowboys defense, man.
Micah Parsons, I thought he was a bully, right? I thought that's what he was supposed to be. You see Brandon Ayuk blocking him. You see George Kittle blocking him. I mean, I don't really know if bully's really, what was it? Where is he from? Harrisburg or whatever? And get that out of here. You're talking about the 49ers. They're the biggest bullies in the league. And we're gonna go bully the next team, man. So yeah, what a game. Shout out to Brandon Ayuk for cooking Trayvon Diggs over and over too. Oh, gotta love that. Put him in the spin cycle. But man, I'm having a great time. I mean, obviously, we got this game upcoming on Saturday. It's a fascinating matchup. I think we'll talk about things in a second here, but I feel like a lot of 49ers fans had a certain level of confidence going into that Dallas Cowboys game. They knew they were the better. They knew 49ers were the better team, right? It's just a matter of that quarterback position and how much he hurts the team potentially. But this matchup, to me, I don't feel that same way. I think the 49ers could certainly win this game. I think they'll have a chance to. But this, to me, is a much more fascinating, much more difficult matchup for the 49ers. And, I mean, these two teams played in week 3, but these are two very different football teams now on both sides of the ball for both of them, really. I would say really the only consistent thing is maybe the passing attack that the Packers have. But besides that, I feel like everything about these teams feels different. So we'll certainly see how good the Packers are. Everyone's kind of penciling them in as Super Bowl favorites, which, hey, they should be. I'm not saying they shouldn't, but it's going to be a great matchup for the 49ers. And this certainly feels like the game where if they win it, they could win any game. Oh. So this is my show, guys. Now this is my channel. Everyone, go subscribe to Ben Meyerson's YouTube channel right now if you haven't already. No, I'm joking. Amin is frozen here. We'll come back in a second. But hey, if you haven't already, subscribe to Amin, like this video, leave a comment. Let us know how you're feeling about the 49ers versus the Packers. Like I said, we got two Amins now.
Yep. Right. I'm back.
Yeah, don't worry. I only took over for a little bit. Not too hostile.
Well, speaking of the quarterback, who's Jimmy G, who pretty much, most people don't like and some people do like. Let's talk about Jimmy Garoppolo. Can the 49ers win the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo?
Yes, absolutely they can, because they have the best team in football. And it's not going to be because of Jimmy Garoppolo if they win the Super Bowl.
You just say they have the best team in football.
Yeah, I think they have the best team in football, top to bottom. I think they have one of the best coaching staffs in football. DeMeco Ryans is one of the best coordinators, if not the best defensive coordinator in the league, one of the better ones at least. They have one of the best, if not the best, defenses left. And outside of the quarterback position, I think this offense is as good as it gets in the league. I really do. I think early on in the season, this offensive line was somewhat of a struggle. Not that it was a weakness, but they weren't quite gelling in the way that we would have hoped that they would. Now, I feel like the continuity they have along that offensive line, what they've been able to figure out with the running game with Debo, obviously, I mentioned that week 3 matchup. He didn't, get that sort of role that he's getting now. But, just little things. Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, using Kyle Juszczyk in the way they have, Jeff Wilson Jr., even Hasty on third down. I think this is one of the most complete teams in football, if not the most complete team in football. The reason I say they can win the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo is because football is a team game. I think you can win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo, or this team can. I don't know if they will, though, and I don't think they will. But I certainly think it's possible for the 49ers to absolutely win a Super Bowl this year because this is the best team in football. This is the best roster outside of the quarterback position. And this coaching staff, I would put them up against most coaching staffs that are left in the league. I know Kyle isn't necessarily the best game manager, but I think outside of that, I don't really know where to fault Kyle. I think, like I said, a little bit shaky decision making sometimes from Kyle, but as a play caller, there's no one else I would want to call my team. And that's a huge part of the reason why I think the 49ers can win a Super Bowl, Jimmy Garoppolo. It's because they have the most diverse running game in football. They can run power. They can run gap. They'll run outside zone. They'll run inside zone. They'll use tosses. They'll get jets. They'll use jet sweeps. They'll use motion as good as anyone else in the league. And as they'll use it more than anyone else. This to me is just what Kyle Shanahan really wants out of his type of football team, minus the quarterback position. I just think at the end of the day, it's such a team game that it's certainly possible for the 49ers to win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. But it's not going to be because of Jimmy Garoppolo. It's going to be in spite of him, right? So, yeah, the 49ers can absolutely win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't have any doubt about that, actually.
Damn. Okay, I did not see that coming, number one. But first off, to say that the Niners are the best team in football, that is blasphemy. Okay, like I wish I could say the same thing. I wish I could say, my 49ers have the best team in football.
This is the best roster in football.
I don't know about roster. Like roster-wise, yes, we have some great players, right? Like we have Debo, we have Kittle, we have Trent Williams. But there are other teams around the league. Like there's other teams around the league that have talented rosters. Like nobody talks about the Niners roster the same way they talk about the Rams roster. The same way, some people talk about the Cowboys roster. Like the Niners, are they a good football team? Yes, but to say that they have the best team in football, or even say the best roster in football, with the way that their obviously Jimmy Garoppolo as the quarterback, and like even if you look at some other teams around the league, right? Like you look at the Rams, for example, Matthew Stafford, obviously good quarterback, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, OBJ, Von Miller, Aaron Donald. There's a bunch of other teams that have a lot of staff players, but I would definitely say the Niners are a good football team, but to say that they are the best roster or the best team, I don't think so personally. But
I think this is the best roster independent of the quarterback position, and I don't even think it's actually close because I think when you look at the 49ers offense, like I said, this offensive line, if it's not one of the top 5 in football, it's damn near close. And to me, having that sort of line is hugely important. Then you look at the weapons that they have between their skill position guys, fullback, running back, tight end, and wide receiver. I don't know if there's a team that's better. I name it if there is. I don't think there is.
I can name a couple if you want.
You can name them, but I certainly don't think they're better, and I don't think they're being utilized in the way that you would expect them to. Like Debo, obviously Debo Samuel's a great player, right? There's no doubt about that. But him and Kyle Shanahan is the best marriage of play caller and weapon that I've seen just in recent NFL history. I'm sure there are better examples when you go back a little further, but what they have with Debo, Kittle, Ayuk, even what they figured out with Juwan Jennings, I think there's only one weakness on this, or two weaknesses on this team: the special teams for one, and the quarterback. Yeah. But even then, looking at the defense, there are teams who have maybe a little more talented defenses. I'll give you that, but I think the 49ers front seven is playing as good as anyone in football. There's no front seven that is playing better than they are, and we've been talking about the secondary all season. You've been talking about Josh Norman all season. They're not playing Josh Norman anymore. They're playing Ambry freaking Thomas, who looks even better than maybe Emmanuel Mosley already. And then Emmanuel Mosley's back, and we know how good he is. He's so solid. And I think between, Ward, Tart, just how deep this defensive line is, I think this is the best roster in football, and they should win the Super Bowl. That's my opinion.
Dang. All right, that's a bold opinion. I did not see that coming. I thought this was going to be, pretty casual, normal, agreeing on a lot of things, stream on a Thursday morning. But, Ben is already going off with a bold take. But moving back to the question, can the 49ers win the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? No. Now, I personally don't think the Niners going to Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, people say, you might be a Jimmy Garoppolo hitter. No, but I feel like, and a lot of people feel like, quarterbacks are one of the most important positions on any football team. And especially as Niners fans, we know when we don't have Jimmy Garoppolo under center, we were like 8-26. People bring it up all the time during the games. 8-26 without Jimmy Garoppolo. And I get it. There's
I
more
mean, but let's
context
actually
than just
talk
the
about
record.
that for a second, right? Because I love seeing people talk about how many games Jimmy Garoppolo wins, and it's because the reason I love it is because they're comparing him and two third-string
Yeah,
quarterbacks
CJ
who
Beathard.
aren't even backups on their current teams right now,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
what we're talking about, I think people are just a little disconnected from the reality of Jimmy Garoppolo. He is who he is. Accept that, right? I think the thing with the 49ers winning the Super Bowl is the brand of football they play, and that's kind of what I was getting to with the offensive line and how physical they've been. They don't need to throw the ball. They don't need to pass downfield in that sort of way. Really, the only thing they might need Jimmy Garoppolo to do is execute on third down, which is where he is the most effective. Like, realistically, you got to give him props for his third down efficiency. It's the one thing I think he does really well. Even up until that 3rd and 11 to Brandon Ayuk, I think throughout that first half, constantly, Jimmy Garoppolo was hitting third down throws that he needed to do, right? Problem is when you do things outside of that, things get a little shaky, and he occasionally will miss your Brandon Ayuk's or those kind of things, those out of bounds, those deep throws. But we saw the formula for the 49ers in 2019. I think this team is absolutely capable of implementing that formula and doing an even better job of it, because I think Kyle is more adept and he is more experienced as a play caller now. So, look, I think, can they win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? Hell yes, because Kyle Shanahan is growing as a head coach. I think that's something we saw this season, especially back in 2019. I just don't think he had the aggressiveness he has now. Some of the creativity that we've seen this year, not that creative. Kyle wasn't always a creative guy, but doing what he's doing with Deebo Samuel this season, I think if there's anyone who could do this with Jimmy Garoppolo and who could win the Super Bowl, with that sort of quarterback, a game manager who turns the ball over, it could be these 49ers. I don't think they will, but I certainly think they're very capable of it.
I mean, the only reason I'm saying no is because you just look at, obviously, we know Jimmy Garoppolo and what he does usually. And, like, this Sunday, Deebo Samuel, beast. And I have no doubt there, and I don't argue with you at all when you say Kyle Shanahan knows how to get the most out of his players, especially guys like Deebo. Kyle and Deebo have a great connection. Kyle knows how to get the most out of his players. Like, Kyle is way ahead of the league. Where you look at, like, people bring up, even when I saw a couple of other games, like, Hunter Renfrow or Amon-Ra St. Brown reminds me of Deebo Samuel. I'm like, just because they run jet sweeps, yeah, I get it. Deebo ran jet sweeps in 2019 and he used to run it, but like what Deebo is doing now is he's in the backfield. We call him a wide back, right? Because he's lined up in the backfield, right? And you don't.
Well, and Amin, you notice now other teams are starting to implement what the 49ers did with their wide receivers back in 2019.
Couple years ago with the jet sweep, right? But like,
while Kyle is 2 years ahead of him, right?
Kyle's
And in 2 years from now, we're gonna
done that. Kyle's already done that, right?
Oh yeah. So, but in 2 years from now, we'll see all these teams trying to use Deebo Samuel like the 49ers are this year. I just think Kyle's so ahead of the curve. And when Kyle's in the zone and in his bag in terms of play calling, they can absolutely win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't have a doubt about that, actually.
I mean, we saw it on Sunday, right? Like, Deebo, beast, Elijah Mitchell, he was dominating. But if you had any other quarterback right now in the playoffs, any other quarterback, let's not even Ryan Tannehill, right? Ryan Tannehill, any other quarterback right now in the playoffs, Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford.
I think with Derek Carr, they would be Super Bowl favorites right now. That game
would have been a blowout on Sunday against the Cowboys. It shouldn't have been that close. 23-17. It should not have been that close. The Niners are dominating pretty much the whole entire game. If you could just capitalize on those touchdowns early in the game instead of kicking those field goals,
Right.
you would have easily been up, like, you would have had almost like 35 points finishing that game. It should have been a blowout. If you had any other quarterback in the playoffs, I could strongly say that it would have been a blowout. Not obviously got people that have gone eliminated, but like if you had, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Brady, Matthew Stafford, it would have been a blowout on Sunday.
I
I
think
think
if you
most
would
of
have
us can agree
had
with that.
Derek Carr, it would have been a blowout on
But
Sunday.
talking about winning the Super Bowl, Kyle, obviously, he's a great play caller, and he's ahead of the league with what he does with, obviously, Deebo Samuel. He's ahead of the league as a play caller. But you need the quarter. We saw in 2019 also. Jimmy Garoppolo obviously had that one throw, and people bring it up. But one thing that I've always said, especially after that Super Bowl in 2020, well, not 2020, but when the Bucs played the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs, obviously, the offensive line was horrible for the Chiefs because they were depleted with injuries. But you look at the Chiefs, if Mahomes, obviously, he was sometimes falling down, he would chuck it up, and the receivers would just drop it in the end zone. If he could just capitalize on those touchdowns, the game would have been closer. But at the same time, Brady put up 38. Brady put up 38 in that Super Bowl. So it would have been really hard for Mahomes to come back. But when we were playing them 20-10, even though our defensive line was dominant, obviously some calls were missed, and obviously the Chiefs did hold a little bit on some plays. But at the same time, like, it was 20-10 in the fourth quarter. The Niners, obviously, we're not doing what we did with Deebo Samuel now.
What's up, Jesse?
Obviously, we're not doing. Obviously, we didn't do in 2019. We didn't use Deebo the same way that we did in 2019 that we're doing now. But at the same time, like, Jimmy Garoppolo, you're gonna have to throw the football in some situations. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo can get it done. I really don't. Even though Kyle, obviously, Deebo Samuel's been dominant. Even though the run game has been dominant. If we go up against, let's say, the Bills or the Chiefs, you think you could beat the Bills and the Chiefs? You think Jimmy Garoppolo can go out? Obviously, we're gonna score points, but can we score enough points? That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think we could score enough points. Even I would be happy if we made it to the Super Bowl, right? But at the same time, do I think we can win a Super Bowl? That's the question. Do I think we can win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo? No, because I don't. You're gonna have to throw the football to compete with guys like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes and the Bradys and the Staffords. You're not the Staffords because we beat in Stafford, but you're gonna have to throw the football and put up enough points to go up against those guys and to beat those guys. I don't think you could do that with just running the football down their throats and using Deebo Samuel, because eventually you're gonna have to throw the football in some situations, because it's hard to stop Josh Allen when he's at his best. It's hard to stop Patrick Mahomes when he's at his best, because those guys at their best can easily put up 30 points, if not more. And obviously, I don't think the Niners. Obviously, I think the Niners can put up points by running the football. We've seen it. The Niners, when they do run the football, they can put up points, but can they put up enough points to, can they put up enough points to outscore those guys, or put up enough points to beat the Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs of the world and, the Bills? I don't think so, because you have to throw the football with Jimmy Garoppolo.
You know what? I certainly understand that issue, and I think that's a big part of the reason why I wouldn't say that the 49ers should absolutely win the Super Bowl, but I think it's within the realm of possibility, because I think 3 games in a row, you can run the ball down people's throat. And the thing, Amin, is that people know that's what the 49ers are going to do, and they do it anyways, right? So this is a team that, yeah, if it has to be on Jimmy Garoppolo's arm, it's not going to be great, and they certainly will not win the Super Bowl. But I don't even necessarily think it has to come to that. And if it doesn't, they can absolutely win a Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo.
I mean, I get your points. I mean, those are fair points, but I really don't think I've seen Mahomes at their best. Obviously, you've seen Josh.
Yeah,
I
don't think they will. You've
seen those guys at their best, and
even
forget about Super Bowl, right? Even getting past like Brady, or like Brady, obviously Rodgers this week. Like, obviously, it's gonna be, the run game has to be a huge part of it, but at the same time, like, let's say Roger puts up a 30 bomb, and like he did last time when we were playing them week 3. That offense was just putting up points. And Devontae Adams, pass interference calls, Devontae Adams, we could not stop Devontae Adams whatsoever. But obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo had that drive where he let us downfield, but that interception to Jair Alexander, horrible. And that fumble, like, we're not even going to talk about that fumble, because when that fumble happened, I was like, what are you doing, Jimmy Garoppolo? Like, that is some Zach Wilson. That not even Zach Wilson would do that, okay? What you just did, and, like, just threw it on the floor behind you, trying to get rid of the ball. Like, that's some rookie type stuff. But at the same time, like, going up against, obviously, which I listed some of the quarterbacks in the playoffs right now, You can put up points by running the football. We know that, but can you put up enough points to beat those guys or put up enough points to beat those guys? You're gonna have to throw the football to do that, and I just don't
That's
think with
fair.
Jimmy Garoppolo you can do that.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's certainly going to be the biggest test of that theory, right? By the way, I see Jesse tweeting about me now, man. Oh God, I knew this was a mistake. I should have just completely shaved this off, and here we are, though. I mean, here we are.
I should appreciate, bro. Like yeah. I mean, I kind of like the old look without the stash. A little bit. I mean, I kind of like that look, but then you got to switch it up and kind of went a little bit. Take off the hat. You kind of went a little Ted Lasso on us in the chat and the stream. So. Well, moving on to the next topic. This one is a little bit of an interesting topic, and it doesn't
Stop
necessarily have to
disrupting our show, Jesse. Stop it.
it doesn't necessarily have to do with playoffs, but just talking about the Niners team as a whole. Trent or Debo, who is the best player on the Niners, and who has the bigger impact?
I think Trent Williams is the better player, but I think Debo has the bigger impact, and I'll talk about this. I think with Debo, I'm not doubting his ability, but I think for a guy like Trent Williams, what people overlook sometimes, for as elite as he is and for as much credit as he gets, the difference between Trent Williams and the next best left tackle is a country mile.
Yeah.
It is a wide margin. Now, I'm not saying anyone can quite replicate what Deebo Samuel does, but if you had Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Cooper Kupp, or one of those other type of guys, you could certainly not. You couldn't replicate Deebo's exact production, but you can get offensive production in that sort of way, right? You could create offense out of that. I think the thing is with a guy like Trent Williams, the difference between him and that next left tackle, like I said, is huge.
Yeah.
But also the difference between just a regular marginal starter replacing Trent Williams and a marginal starter replacing Deebo Samuel, I think the bigger difference is with Deebo Samuel, like I said, because I think with Trent Williams, we saw when he was out against the Rams, right? They used Colton McKinnon, and he was able to do a good enough job. And I think that's the point, is that he can do another left tackle can do enough that he can hold his own and not be the reason that a team is going to lose because Trent Williams is out, right? But if you don't have Deebo Samuel and you got to go to that next best option, that is a much bigger drop off to me. But yeah, so I think Trent Williams is the best player in the NFL right now in my opinion. I just think he is. I think he's so dominant at his position that really PFF is going to have to adjust their grading system. I mean, he literally broke it this season. He's the highest graded run blocker ever, the highest graded PFF offensive lineman ever, any player ever. So yeah, I think Trent Williams is an absolutely great player at a hugely important position. But with a guy like Debo, yeah, I think replacing him would be much harder. Oh wait, my laptop's about to die. Sorry. I'm going to make sure.
It's all good.
Oh my God. I just saw that. I'm over here not plugging in my laptop. I'm the unprofessional one, and I'm supposed to be
the good. I get, you're a college student, so I was up because you're a college student. Right?
Yeah, I was up early for class this morning, 9:45.
Not early. What do you mean that's not early?
I mean, you're not in college yet. You don't know what early is. No,
I mean, I gotta wake up at 8:30, sometimes 7:30. It's early. For elementary school. High school kids, elementary school kids. It was hard. 9:45. I would love to wake up. At 9 o'clock. Just put on some clothes. Walk to class. All right.
Oh, it's all over Zoom too. I mean, so I'm not even going anywhere. I just have to wake up. But getting back to this discussion, I think Deebo Samuel is certainly an excellent player. And I do really appreciate what he's doing. At the end of the day, no one is Trent Williams. And there's certainly other playmakers that are within Deebo's range. I don't think there's anyone within Trent Williams' range. And man, that's a credit to the Niners and Kyle specifically for re-signing him this offseason at the number they did, because I think there are people, even for as great as Trent Williams is, they doubt that, right? Um, uh, Look, hey, I'm in college, man. It's just you have to understand. I think our earliest available courses are 9 a.m. So look, 9:45 is just slightly early, and it's more my fault because
Dude. If I gotta wake up every day at 9:45, or like 9:30, and just just not even like put on clothes, just sit in my PJs and just sit on the Zoom class and listen to my teacher, and just do class on the Zoom class, and just even in my PJs, like I would love to do that, but like I gotta wake up like sometimes 7:30, 8 o'clock. It's way earlier. Okay, it's way earlier. It's way more tiring.
To be fair, I also had class until like 9:30 last night, so it does go early, it does go late. I mean, I'm just a night owl in general, so I'm up past
I
midnight,
mean, I do stay up late
2 every
also.
night.
I stay up late, but then I have to wake up in the morning. It's tough because like at night, like the funny thing is like when you're awake at nighttime, and like even though you gotta get a good amount of sleep and wake up in the morning, or else you're gonna be tired. It's like when you're awake, you want to go do things. Sometimes you might be scrolling through Twitter. Sometimes you might
I
just
feel
be
my
awake.
most productive at like 1:30 in the morning, honestly. It's weird. But yeah, I mean, you know what? It's just the college schedule, cuz the thing is it's a 9:45 class, right? But I could have got the class at 11 or 12:30. It's more my fault for not getting the class at that
Yeah,
better time. So,
should have gone in it later,
um
man.
but
But back to the question: Trent or Debo, who is the best player and who has the bigger impact on this team? Trent is obviously the best player. Now, you could make an argument for Debo Samuel.
what's up, not your average sports kid?
Speaking of Debo Samuel, it's almost as
Hey,
if
shout out
it's almost,
Debo
yeah. I
Samuel.
was like Debo. Speaking of Debo Samuel, and not Travis Sports Kid pops in the chat. He's like, "What's up?" Shout out to a not Travis Sports Kid. If you haven't checked out his channel before, go subscribe to his channel.
Subscribe
Go do
right
it.
now.
Link, go subscribe to his channel. It's Not Your Average Sports Kid
Not
is
your average
right up.
sports kid.
Not Your Average Sports Kid. Go subscribe to his channel. Go check him out if you haven't already. But Trent Williams is obviously the best player on the
Yeah,
Niners because
no doubt.
Trent Williams is the best left tackle in football.
I
Debo
think he might be
Samuel,
the best player regardless of position.
people say some people do say that he's the best player in football, which obviously I'm not gonna say an offensive lineman is the best player in football, but you can definitely make an argument for him. You can definitely make a case for him. But
Absolutely.
Trent Williams is the best player on the Niners because he's the best left tackle in football. Now, when you look at Debo Samuel, who has the bigger impact on this team is Debo Samuel, because we saw against the Rams, like we didn't have Trent Williams. Now, obviously, Colton McKivitz wasn't great, but at the same time, the Niners offense still could put up points.
Right.
But without Debo Samuel,
If they had lost that game, it wasn't going to be because Colton McKivitz played
yeah,
and Trent Williams did.
exactly. It wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been because of that situation. Now, if Debo Samuel didn't play and we lost, it would most likely be Debo Samuel didn't play, and obviously a little bit of if Jimmy Garoppolo had turnovers if he didn't play well, but it would most likely be Debo Samuel didn't play, that's why we lost. So Debo has the bigger impact on this team, and Debo has the bigger impact obviously over Trent Williams. Because even if you look at, I said it before, even if you look at previously in the season when the Niners struggled this year, Debo Samuel would be that one spark, and he would be the only, he'd be that one guy that would, catch a little screen pass, take a handoff obviously later off in the season and go 30, 40 yards, he's just a beast for us this year. He has the biggest
Yeah.
impact. But
Well,
when I look at what Trent Williams, obviously he's the best left tackle in football, but Debo,
absolutely.
obviously you can make an argument for Debo being the best wide receiver, but personally, I don't think he's the best wide receiver in football.
Yeah.
And some people
But
don't
I
even
think
put him
what
in
we're
his top
saying
five.
is the difference between Debo and another top 5 wide receiver is nothing compared to the difference between Trent Williams and another
Yeah.
top 3 left
Yeah.
tackle, even, right?
Yeah.
Trent Williams, I was just looking at some PFF stats. 1 sack allowed this year, 6 QB hits, 10 hurries, 17 total pressures. That's a pressure per game. He had a run grade over 80 every game except for 4 games this season. This is just as good as it gets at the left tackle position.
Yeah. Trent Williams, like, in the beginning of the season, I remember the first time I called on Cone Phone. I was like, I don't know why the Niners signed into that big of a contract. Trent Williams is an injury, he's not a guy that will play 16 games or 17 games for you. He's getting older. He hasn't played like a full season since almost like 2016 or something like that. So it's like that big of a contract. Now obviously if it pays off, it would have been great, but it's a risk, right? And I was like, it's
Right.
a risk. Most people are like, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Then I also got some mini vicious in the chat the first time I called it the cone phone, but looking back on it, it was the right move for signing Trent Williams because Trent Williams is just dominant. He's a beast. He's the best left tackle. David Bakhtiari, he missed majority of the season, but Trent Williams, after the season, watching him, Trent Williams, he's easily the best left tackle. He puts
Easily.
people on their butt. He puts grown men on their butt. Like
Well,
I
and
saw
even now, Amin, by his own standards, right? I'm looking at his offensive grade by season. So obviously he broke the scale this season, was at 98.3, highest ever recorded.
Yeah.
But even compared to his own standard, that's ridiculous for Trent Williams. He only has 3 seasons where he has above a 90 grade overall, 91.8 one season, 92.7, 91.9. Even for his own standards, this is beyond what he was doing before. And this is a level of greatness he wasn't. I mean, not that he wasn't that guy before, but
it's not the same level that he was doing in Washington.
What he did this year is much better than any other season he's had put together.
This is arguably his best season ever in the NFL.
No doubt. I think it is no question his best season.
Yeah, but Trent, like I said, Trent is obviously the better player because he's the best left tackle in football. Debo has the bigger impact on this team. And the reason I'm not saying that Debo is the best player because Debo, some people don't even have him in his top 5. Like some people don't even call Debo a true wide receiver. But Debo's not, to me, Debo's a top 5 receiver. But Debo, you wouldn't say Debo is a top 3 receiver in the NFL or the best receiver in football. There's an argument, but me personally, I think Trent is the best player on the Niners, and Debo definitely has the bigger impact for the 49ers.
No doubt.
Well, moving on to the next topic. Man, this guy, pretty much every show, a lot of Niner content creators he has to be in it. Jimmy Garoppolo has to be one of the topics speaking and discussing about Jimmy Garoppolo. If Jimmy Garoppolo beats Green Bay, do you think he'll be back next year? Possibly be back next year.
I think under no circumstances is Jimmy Garoppolo the quarterback next season. And I think part of it is what we saw this week from Kyle specifically. And I think it's been a theme all season, all offseason, really, is that Kyle, Jimmy are not quite on the same page. The fact of the matter, and I don't blame Jimmy at all. In fact, I think I would actually celebrate what he's doing in the sense from a player's perspective because the team has done everything to get him out of there. The team has done everything to not be in his favor. And I just think that for Jimmy and Kyle, they both don't want to be here, right? Or they both don't want this to continue, right? They don't want this marriage to keep going.
I'm surprised it lasted this long because you remember before the season, it was like Niners, getting trade offers, trading the 3rd overall pick for Aaron Rodgers, and if they got Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, Jimmy Garoppolo would have been gone.
Yeah, no doubt, right?
He would have been gone. He would have been cut. He would have been whatever. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo would have been gone if he got Aaron Rodgers. But, like, I'm surprised he's still the quarterback up to this point because Kyle wanted Jimmy Garoppolo gone, especially, obviously, after last season and after the Super Bowl. Obviously, it was tough, but coming back off the Super Bowl, we're like, okay, we might have another chance at the Super Bowl if Jimmy Garoppolo can stay healthy. Jimmy Garoppolo didn't stay healthy. And then after that, obviously, we all heard the offseason talk about, okay, our Niners going to get a quarterback.
Sam Darnold, Joe Flacco, Matthew Stafford.
Deshaun Watson before all this allegations and stuff like that. But Kyle wanted Jimmy gone, especially during this offseason, Kyle wanted Jimmy gone. And I'm surprised he's still the quarterback up to this point, that he's still the starting quarterback. Because during the offseason, Kyle did not want Jimmy to be the quarterback.
Remember how Kyle was talking about Jimmy at the end of the season, even this time last year, right? I think there's just no shot of this happening. I know there's people who certainly want it to, but it's just not going to happen. And also another big reason I totally forgot about, that $25 million price tag might be a reason, because the 49ers have a lot of free agents this offseason. Let's talk about it. Like in Tomlinson, DJ Jones, Arden Key, Jaquiski Tart, Azeez Al-Shaair. I'm trying to think that the list is so extensive for the 49ers with their free agents that if they want any chance at even keeping the team around that they have now, they're gonna have to get rid of Jimmy Garoppolo
Yeah,
because if
you
they don't,
got
their
you
team's
gotta
just
get
gonna
that
be
cap space.
worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that I'm not worried about John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan is they've shown me that they're good at retaining free agents, especially if you
Yeah,
look,
they have.
they have a pretty good track record. And obviously trading DeForest Buckner is something that people and a lot of fans point out. But even you look at that season, we had a bunch of free agents. We signed Armstead, which it would have been nice to sign Buckner instead of Armstead, but we re-signed Armstead. We got a lot of our free agents back. Obviously, last year also we signed
Honestly, I
Trent.
still don't know if that's the case with the Armstead Buckner deal because I think while they didn't use the pick correctly that they used for DeForest Buckner, ultimately, they are paying Eric Armstead less money. This season, he's proven that he's as good as what DeForest Buckner was doing in 2019, if not maybe a little better this
Not the
season. I
whole
mean,
season. Not the whole season, though, right?
no,
Like,
but playing him at defensive tackle, I mean,
yeah.
since they moved him over in week 8 and put him in the position, I believe when Javon Kinlaw got hurt, he's been all that they've been paying for and more. And I think the thing with a guy like Eric Armstead is the versatility he presents is super valuable too. Even while you don't want him as a pass rushing edge, having him as that run stuffing edge, you can move him across the line. You can do different things with him. But that's neither here nor there. I think the thing is that ultimately with this Jimmy issue, them retaining Jimmy next season because of the actions they took this offseason, it would be ludicrous. I mean, just beyond insane to not hand over the reins to Trey Lance. Otherwise, they would be admitting that it was a mistake, right? Because they had Jimmy Garoppolo already. I don't think a team is going to go back and say that they were wrong about the quarterback position when they just invested so much in improving that, not improving, but in showing that they didn't believe Jimmy was the guy. Now all of a sudden they believe he's the guy. No, I don't think that's changing, right? So, I know there's certainly people who probably want Jimmy Garoppolo back. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah. Obviously, if you look at what he's gonna get paid next year, $20-something million. Like you need that cap space. But even if he beats Green Bay, like let's say we make it to the NFC Championship, let's say we make it to the Super Bowl.
I don't care if they win the Super Bowl.
I don't think so either. But let's say we do. Okay, hypothetically, bringing back Jimmy Garoppolo makes zero sense, especially at the price that he's supposed to be getting paid next year. Makes zero sense. He is not an elite quarterback. My biggest issue with bringing back Jimmy Garoppolo, obviously we have Trey Lance. So let's say if Trey Lance, he's not playing well, play Jimmy. Jimmy would have won us this game. Even this season, right? Like that after that Arizona game, people were like, "Oh, Jimmy would have won us the game. Jimmy played. Trey Lance is
Well,
Trey Lance
we
is
saw
dog.
Jimmy play Arizona later in the season.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Now, I mean, I wouldn't say that's on Jimmy Garoppolo because there was obviously lots of fumbles, so that game wasn't all on Jimmy Garoppolo. It wasn't we lost because of Jimmy Garoppolo. But at the same time, like there's gonna be a lot of controversy bringing back Jimmy Garoppolo at his price. But my biggest issue is his injury history. Yeah. With his injury history, you bring back Jimmy Garoppolo at the price that he's supposed to be getting paid Jimmy's paid $26 million, whatever it might be, right? Bringing back Jimmy Garoppolo with his injury history is not worth it. And even his production on the field, right? Like we look at Kittle, right? Kittle, he is an injury prone player. He gets injured pretty much every season. He misses a couple of games, but the impact that he has when he plays is like, okay, fine. I get he's injured, but at the same time, the impact that George Kittle has, it's worth it. Him missing games, him playing on the field when he is playing, it's worth it. His contract is worth it because the impact that he has on the field.
Trent Williams
also, right? With Jimmy Garoppolo, it's like when he plays, even this year, like even that Dallas game, right? Like it's pretty much he's in jail and the team has to bail him out pretty much every single Sunday. Especially when he throws an interception, the team has to bail him out and the team has to play a really good game in order for them to win. Especially when Jimmy Garoppolo has turnovers, when Jimmy Garoppolo isn't making smart decisions with the football, when Jimmy Garoppolo isn't playing complimentary football. When Jimmy Garoppolo is playing complimentary football, we're 7-0 this year. When he isn't, we're 2-6. Not including the win against Dallas. So when Jimmy Garoppolo does have turnovers, we don't have a good record. We don't have a winning record. No. So bringing back Jimmy Garoppolo at the price that he's getting paid is just not worth it. It's just simply not worth it with the price that he's getting paid, with the money that he's getting paid, with his injury history. And Jimmy Garoppolo does not have a huge impact when he does play. He doesn't. So, like, guys like Trent and guys like George Kittle, when they don't play, when they do play, it's like, I'll give them the excuse and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt because when they do play, they're beasts. They're dominant. They have a huge impact on this team, and the team would not be the same without those two guys, right? But with Jimmy Garoppolo, not having Jimmy Garoppolo on this team next year, that's not going to be a huge loss because Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have that big of an impact on this football team. So me personally, no. If Jimmy Garoppolo, even if he beats Green Bay, he's not going to be back next year. If the Niners do bring him back, it'll be the dumbest move, especially especially how much he's getting paid next year. What his contract, what he's supposed to get next year, is not worth it whatsoever. It'll be the dumbest move the Niners would ever make, especially bringing him back. No, even if you look at Belichick this year, like
and
Belichick
he would be a free agent immediately afterwards, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's not like they would be retaining him for years or have the opportunity to. So I just don't think
look at Belichick this year, right? Like Belichick, Mac Jones, obviously with Cam having COVID, Mac Jones was dominating in practice, and you heard all these things from the Patriots, and you heard all these things, and you were like, okay, Belichick decided to move on from Cam Newton, and he kept Mac Jones, and it's like, let's say you did keep Cam Newton, and Mac Jones was your starter, and in the beginning of the season, Mac Jones, he wasn't looking that good. You remember that Saints game? He threw 3 interceptions, right? If you had Cam Newton sitting on the bench, Patriots fans would have probably been like, play Cam, right? So, like, you don't want one of those situations with Trey Lance if you keep Jimmy Garoppolo next year. So, no, under no circumstances should Jimmy Garoppolo be back next year. He said, you sent up the interview with Kay Adams that I alley-ooped over you this weekend. No, she doesn't, she doesn't have open DMs, and, I don't think she'll be willing to come on, the show. So, but I appreciate you for doing that. I appreciate you for doing that. I definitely saw that on Twitter. I was just chilling in my room, I think I was watching a Niners Cowboys documentary or something like that, and then I got tagged like in a Kay Adams tweet. I was like, what? Like, this is just random. Like, I did not I was like, what? Like, but I appreciate you for doing that. But most likely it's not gonna happen. Most likely Kay is not gonna come on the show. But who knows? Anything, who knows? Anything could happen. So
hey,
it would be nice to have her on, but
Kevin Garnett, anything is possible.
He said she interviewed that kid in Cincy. I mean, that kid in Cincy got like J.J. Watt on his show, and Justin Reed. That dude got some big timers on his show. Okay, that dude's a baller. I don't know how he does it, but like,
hey, I mean,
just the big dudes on his show.
Just think about it. You're just starting off. Think about it as an opportunity. Start small and keep going upwards, and then you'll work your way to, Jimmy Garoppolo and those sort of players.
I don't think me and Jimmy. I think it'd be very awkward having Jimmy Garoppolo on the show. I think it would be kind of like me and Jimmy would look at each other and it would be very awkward. Like, it would be a very awkward situation having Jimmy on the show.
Nah, he would be nice to you. I mean, I think what people need to realize about Jimmy, because as much as the Jimmy stands are very, very loud, Jimmy Garoppolo could literally care less about the media. I think, in fact, the way he handles it is very impressive to me. People give him a lot of credit for it, but I mean, think about guys like Grant, right, who talk about Jimmy Garoppolo the way he does. He doesn't answer Grant's questions any differently. He just doesn't care. He knows it's part of the job, and he knows it's a part of what he does. He if anyone, the thing with Jimmy Garoppolo is he's so nonchalant, right? He just doesn't care about what you say about him in the media or what anyone says about him, their opinion one way or the other. It just doesn't matter.
He'll sometimes like just straight up laugh it off. But for me personally, it'd be awkward, right? Because like, I talk so much crap behind your back. My whole, like, legit, every stream you can look at, I probably said one bad thing about Jimmy Garoppolo. It's like, me and Jimmy Garoppolo on the show, too. I'm like, Jimmy, what do you think about this season's performance? So, like, it would just be awkward for me personally because of how much bad I've talked about him and how much I've criticized him. So it would be awkward for me. But moving on to the next topic, obviously the Niners are playing the Packers.
Right.
And, it'll definitely be an exciting game. But what are some of your keys to the game if the Niners do want to beat the Packers?
I think the number one key to the game is what we always talk about with the 49ers every single week. Major key to the game is that turnover, right? Is Jimmy Garoppolo committed or does he not? And I know Aaron Rodgers isn't probably turning the ball over, so can they cause a fumble, do something in special teams? I think winning the turnover margin is going to be of huge importance for the key to this game. But I think the other big thing is limiting Green Bay's offense as much as you can. Playing bend, don't break defense, to me, you gotta, they always talk about that with the 49ers, but this game more than any game, you have to be bend, don't break. I think with Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, those guys are ridiculous. I mean, really. And then I think for the 49ers defense, they got to make sure, and I see Kim saying it. I mean, they got to get pressure on Aaron Rodgers. They
Yeah.
have to disrupt
You
that
you
Packers
can't
front.
you can't have the same thing that happened last week. Sorry to cut you off. You can't have the same thing that happened when you played them week 3. Because legit,
No.
it was Aaron Rodgers. We've seen at least from when I saw Aaron Rodgers these last couple of years, especially last year, right? Like the Packers were undefeated last year. Then what did the Buccaneers do? I think in Green Bay, what did the Buccaneers do? They got pressure on Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers couldn't do nothing. Even in the NFC Championship game in 2019, Aaron Rodgers could not do nothing because we got pressure on him. And
Well, and I think in that week 3 matchup, I mean, what was happening was Aaron Rodgers. People talk about Jimmy Garoppolo's quick release. Aaron Rodgers' quick release in that
yeah,
game was ridiculous. He wasn't giving the 49ers a chance to be able to rush the passer. So if they
screen
can figure
pass
out
here,
something,
getting the ball out, dumping the ball off real
well,
good. It was really
and
good.
their passing game is such an
Yeah.
extension of the run game that getting pressure on Aaron Rodgers in that week 3 matchup was nearly damn impossible, really.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for this game, they gotta get pressure somehow.
Yeah.
They have to do something, get very creative with the fronts that they're using. I think
Mm-hmm.
D'Amico was great, very aggressive in that last game versus Dallas. He's gotta be even better and even more
Yeah.
aggressive in this game, or at least pick his spots and be, pick, like I said, pick your spots. You don't want to overdo it with your calling cover zero constantly. That's not what you need to do. But what you need to do is strategically implement it so that you can throw Aaron Rodgers off his rhythm even somewhat.
Yeah.
That to me, between that and the turnovers, that's going to be huge for this game. Obviously, the 49ers offense, it matters what they do, but really, I think the two most important factors are the turnover margin and then the pressure that the 49ers are getting on Aaron Rodgers, because I think one way or the other, those two could decide the game for both teams.
The Niners, one big key is obviously they have to get after the quarterback. Now, obviously week 3 was hard because the game plan just that game was little screen passes, quick passes for Aaron Rodgers, getting the ball out quickly. Because if he just the Packers learned from their mistake in 2019, the both times they played them, because Aaron Rodgers would drop back, they both Buckner, Armstead, all there, sack. So obviously week 3 the Packers got the ball out quickly, but the Niners obviously they have to get pressure, they have to create pressure, they have to get after Aaron Rodgers,
Yeah.
because we know what Aaron Rodgers can do with time, but we obviously Emmanuel Mosley and Avery Thomas have been pretty good this year. But Devontae Adams, Avery Thomas would get killed by Devontae Adams, because Devontae Adams kills even better corners. But Emmanuel Mosley struggled last time when they played Devontae Adams. Now a lot of corners do, because Devontae Adams is just a beast, and he's just an elite route runner. He's probably one of the best route runners in football. But if you get pressure after Aaron Rodgers, then you're obviously that's a big key to the game if you get after Aaron Rodgers, and that'll definitely help. But you don't need Aaron Rodgers sitting back in the pocket, launching dots and throwing dimes and giving it to Devontae Adams a lot. Because if you give him time, Devontae Adams, quick, throwing it deep, and Aaron Rodgers can just do so much, and he could just straight up burn your
Yeah.
defense in so many different ways. So get after the quarterback. And Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle, do not put the least amount of pressure, or the least amount of the game that you put on Jimmy Garoppolo's arm, the better. If you run the football like you did in 2019, now it's going to be tough to win like you did in 2019, but the least amount of the game and the least amount of pressure that you put on Jimmy Garoppolo, and the least amount of time that you make him throw the football, the better it is for you. Because if you ask Jimmy Garoppolo to throw the football, especially after that sprained shoulder, if Jimmy Garoppolo makes one mistake, right? Like obviously you could still win, but like I said, the Niners are 3-6 when
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo has one turnover. The
It
Niners
certainly raises your level of difficulty. I mean,
Yeah, it
I
raises
think
your
that's the
difficulty.
main
Yeah.
thing. And I think for what I was, I just wanted to mention this before we move on to our game predictions. They only got one sack on Aaron Rodgers last time, 7 total pressures. They got to figure out something to disrupt his rhythm, even when he is using that quick passing game like he was against the 49ers. And I think I'm giving D'Amico the opportunity to, because the thing is that D'Amico was that was his third game ever coaching at that point in the season. And I think he's developed throughout this season. I really think he has. So
Yeah,
I want to
he's
see how he handles this type of high pressure situation.
hmm for his first season. What D'Amico has been doing, it's been pretty. I was happy with him, and D'Amico. I will not be shocked in a couple of years, 2 to 3 seasons, or even next year if D'Amico has another great season, he could be a head coach somewhere.
I think he should be a head coach right now, but
I mean,
that's
it's
just
too.
me.
I mean, he obviously, as Niners fans, we've seen what he's done this year. Obviously, I think so also, but I don't think he's gonna get a head coaching job in his first year. Like that's just me. I don't think so, but
I think
he's definitely shown me that he can be a head coach this year.
yeah, and my whole thing is you look at the rest of the candidates available. I think a guy like Brian Flores and Jim Harbaugh are really the only two off the top of my head that I would absolutely prefer over D'Amico, and it's because they have more experience than he
Yeah,
has.
yeah.
Really, I think for a guy like D'Amico, he's put in his dues. I mean, he has paid his dues. Really, he was a position coach for a while. He was a defensive assistant, defensive quality control. He's a
Mm-hmm.
player, obviously, and now he's just been successful at every single level that he's done it at.
Yeah.
That's the type of guy I'd bet on rather than I don't know Kellen Moore
It's
or
funny how
Dan
Mike
Quinn.
McDaniel is also getting head coaching offers. Like I said this yesterday, right? Like Mike McDaniel, if he got a head coaching job somewhere, his opening press conference would be equivalent to Nick Sirianni and Adam Gase. Like that's what his
Yeah,
opening press. It would be equivalent, if not a little bit worse than. I don't think it's worse than Adam
and
Gase, but it would be similar to Nick Sirianni. A little bit awkward, a little bit shy.
yeah,
And
he would be awkward for
yeah,
sure.
and
But
Mike
I think
McDaniel,
for a guy like D'Amico, he
yeah,
wouldn't. That's the thing with
yeah.
D'Amico. He would be a presence in the room. I think he has that same sort of Brian Flores,
D'Amico can be a leader of
Mike.
men. D'Amico can
Absolutely
be a leader of men. Where Mike McDaniel is a little bit socially awkward. He's a little bit shy. So like to
behind
me
the scenes
personally,
guy.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know, like the way, like guys like Sala, Robert Sala, and D'Amico Ryan's, they know how to motivate guys. They know,
Right.
and like we know the analogy. Like some coaches, players say that they can run a brick through a brick wall for them, right? And those are kind of like D'Amico Ryan's, Dan Campbell's, obviously Robert Sala. Those are those type of coaches. Whereas Mike McDaniel, like he's a little bit awkward. I don't know if he could be a leader of men the same way that D'Amico Ryan's would be. D'Amico
No.
Ryan's, even if you hear him at the press conference, D'Amico Ryan's is confident. You know, he's very confident. He knows what he's talking about. Or Mike McDaniel's not that he doesn't know what he's talking about, but he's a little bit awkward during the press conferences. And
For sure.
I don't know if he's ready to be a leader of men yet.
Yeah, that's totally fair. Totally fair.
I did not know D'Amico was being requested for an interview by by
Yeah,
Minnesota.
yeah. So D'Amico has an interview with the Vikings. I think he had it yesterday, or he's gonna have it very soon. So it was sometime this week. He was supposed to get interviewed. Mike McDaniel got interviewed by the Dolphins, I believe, Monday or Tuesday afternoon virtually.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. I mean, these guys are getting requests as they should be. I mean, these are two guys I think are future head coaches.
Adam Peters, he just finished his second interview with
With
the
the
Giants. I
Giants.
got that from
Yeah, and the big thing there, and with the NFL and with jobs in general, obviously, it's about the relationships you make. And the fact of the matter is that he does have a relationship with Brian Flores. So if you want to, a lot of times when these teams are hiring GMs, you ask your GM, well, who are you going to hire as your head coach? So I think for a guy like Adam Peters, to have the connections he does and to be able to point to that and say, hey,
Mm-hmm.
look, we're going to try and get Brian Flores right away.
I think
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think he's hitting the Giants job. I'm pretty sure. I think it's pretty much done. Like Peters. Now we don't. I don't know for sure.
I think there's two other candidates, or one. There's one specifically, the Kansas City. It's either assistant GM or director of player personnel. Who's very high up, who could definitely get that position. But it all just matters what the Giants think, right? So we'll see.
I mean, with Peters, it's like a lot of teams around the league. Like Peters, obviously he's assistant GM this year, but with Peters, like a lot of teams around the league have seen like the Aziza Shahirs and the Fred Warner.
Apparently, Ambry Thomas was his big pick this off season, right? So I think there are certainly things you could point to for Adam Peters and point to his success. So yeah, I think it'll be interesting, the chess game that plays out, because maybe the 49ers say to themselves, hey, this is a guy we want to retain. And you know what they could do is they could always elevate John Lynch to president of football operations or some title or whatever. And then make Adam Peters their GM. So there's certainly different situations that could play out. I think it's all kind of a negotiating thing in the NFL. So we'll see. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. But it would be crazy if we lost D'Amico, Mike McDaniel, and Adam Peters in the same year. It would definitely
year after we lose Robert Saleh too. I mean,
yeah. I don't know who you're bringing in because I don't know if I know this guy is obviously getting head coaching. He's getting interviewed for he's being interviewed to be a head coach. Todd Bowles, like I don't know if he's gonna want to come to San Francisco, but he's already in a great situation in Tampa.
Yeah, he's the DC in Tampa. I don't know why he would want to come to San Francisco.
Yeah, Tampa. You could make an argument Tampa has a better defense. So, when they're healthy, at their best, Tampa definitely has a great defense. But score predictions. What are your score predictions for the 49ers Packers game?
This is what I said yesterday, and I'm gonna stick with it. I think it's a 6-point spread. 49ers will cover that spread. I'm confident in that. But I think the Packers are going to win this game 34-30. I think it's going to be very similar to the last game they played in the sense that I think it's going to come down to a last-second possession from Aaron Rodgers, and I think he's going to make it happen, and he's going to score a touchdown. He's going to put the Niners away with no time remaining or little time remaining.
The only thing I remember when you said that was the reporter draft night. He's like, how disappointed are you that you're not a 49er? He's like, not as disappointed that the 49ers will be for not drafting me. So if that happens, Aaron Rodgers definitely responded to that quote.
Man, that was almost 20. That was almost 20 years ago. I hope Aaron Rodgers doesn't hold that much of a grudge. And you know what?
He's 0-3 against the Niners in the playoffs. 0-3, so he hasn't won one yet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going Niners. Now, I think it's gonna be a close one, but the Niners are obviously. I don't know if you saw Debo's interview with that young kid on Nickelodeon.
It was great.
But he was like great interview. That kid was like, between me and you, you do the Niners, or you think this is your year? You think the Niners win the Super Bowl? Debo was like, yeah, but I don't think they're gonna win a Super Bowl. But I like how you turned around the hat. But
yeah, man, I'm getting hat head right now. I'm not used to wearing hats all the time like this.
I'm not a huge hat guy. Like I mean sometimes, but not usually. I'm not a huge hat guy, but I think the Niners get it done. I think it's gonna be a close one. Obviously, I think it's gonna be a close one, but I think the Niners get it done. I'm gonna say 27-25. Now I get it's a 2-point game, but I think the Niners get this one done. I think they win it. I think it's gonna be a close one, but I think the Niners pull it out. And I think we dethrone Aaron Rodgers again. And Aaron Rodgers not making it to the NFC Championship this year. He's getting eliminated in the divisional round. So I got the Niners winning this one in a close one, 27-25. I think Debo's going to have a huge game. I think Mitchell's going to have a huge game. And I think defense are going to make some key stops. I think defense are going to make some crucial stops. And, I mean, I don't know if last week you watched the game, but that play call, I think it was on 3rd and 9 or something like that, or 3rd and 10. And he brought out an all-out blitz. And I was like,
it was 4th and 11. The cover 0 when he blitzed Jimmy Ward as a free rusher. Yeah.
And if Cedric, I think it was Cedric Wilson, if he caught that, I would have been like D'Amico. That play call would have backfired so hard, pretty much on D'Amico in that play call. But luckily it worked. But I think the Niners get it done 27-25.
Yeah.
Well, that basically wraps up the show. I appreciate you for joining me, Ben.
Of course.
If you haven't subscribed to Ben's channel already, please go do so. The link is in the description. He does Channelytics. And yesterday he also did 49ers University with Vinny.
Oh, yeah, that's me and Vinny's show. And I can tell people that I'm definitely planning to have some more guests on individual Channelytics shows. So people can certainly look forward to that. But first and foremost, tomorrow about this time, actually, or about 1:30 Eastern, actually, sorry. We're going to be doing a Twitter Spaces, me, Vinny, and Niner Nate from Niner Nate's Nonsense. So definitely go check all of that out. That should be a good time. I encourage people to go and speak on there. And Amin, this is a great football weekend, man. I know we're 49ers fans, right? But ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm a football fan first and foremost.
Bang, Niner gang.
I am super excited for this divisional slate. More excited than I've been for a football weekend in a long time.
This is one of the best football. This is probably one of the best football weeks this whole season, right? Even if not, I think it's one of the best football weeks in NFL history. Bengals Titans, right? Joe Burrow and the Jamar Chase against, Ryan Tannehill, possibly Derrick Henry could come back for that game.
Bills, Chiefs.
Bills for another year in the divisional round. Not even the NFC Championship game, in the divisional round. Niners, Packers, Rams, Buccaneers.
Not only do I
weekend
think
be
it's
great.
really good teams, but I think these are 4 excellent matchups
excellent
in terms of
teams,
strength
exactly.
on strength, in terms of weakness versus weakness, scheme. I am so excited for football this weekend.
This week is going to be great, especially if you're not just an Niners fan, but if you're just an NFL fan in general. This week is going to be great. If you have subscribed to my channel already, please go do so.
Smash
Subscribe
out
to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Hit this video with a like. We're trying to get to 600 subscribers.
Make sure Amin gets there.
Before the Super Bowl, we're trying to get to 600 subscribers. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Go check out Ben's Twitter Spaces tomorrow. I appreciate everybody for watching. Me and Ben will be back for Red and Gold next week. So make sure to look out for that. I appreciate everybody for watching. Go Niners. Bang, bang, Niner gang. And we'll see you guys next week.